All right. Today we're going to talk about polarization and natural game, which is just, it's not taught. There's not one coach in the world that you guys might follow that teaches natural game, because none of them are naturals. I think I'm the only natural in the industry. I know there was another Australian guy that pretended to be a natural, but he was actually taught by RSD. Apart from that, I don't think there are any real naturals out there. I'm going to talk about this guy called Jon Zherka, who is a natural, and he uses a lot of polarization, and he has a lot of success. Obviously, not everything that he would say, I would say. And when I was in my early 20s, I would say that I had a little bit more of this than anything else, where we're going to cover that in a little bit more detail. But I think the industry as a whole is full of a lot of guys that just couldn't get laid in high school. They're fearful, angry, bitter, kind of losers in high school. Even in university they were losers, and then they discovered the game, they read the game, and they got into these forums, and then they went through a long self-development rabbit hole. And some of the guys, they started coaching when they were going through that self-development phase, so they're never good with women. All they were doing was recording their journey. And then they started making money by exploiting you, because they didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. And then they made enough money to, have a little bit more freedom, and then they spend some more time in the gym. And now you see them as alpha, and they've evolved, etc., etc. But I would argue that the ones that you should be learning from, are the ones that had it naturally. They're called naturals, right? And I'm going to show you guys this guy, Jon Zherka. I literally just pulled up one random, I didn't go through a lot of videos. I have watched a few of his videos recently, and there's a lot of cool stuff in there that you guys can learn from. And people do say that, naturals, they struggle to explain or become coaches. And well, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I've been coaching for over 2 years now, and I'm starting to figure out how to coach from being a natural. And myself, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have my hips cut off and have all these disabilities hit me. Most naturals, they're not in the industry. They're not coaching you. You don't have access to the best, the underground guys, the guys that have absolutely the last thing that they would want to be doing is getting associated with a bunch of nerds in the pickup industry, because that's what it is. The guys that say that they're the best pickup artist or pickup coach, they're just nerds in high school that are now overcompensating. That's all it is. The guys that are really successful, they're living lives that you have no idea how good it is. It's just on another level. And so with someone like myself, this is kind of the type of guys that I would hang out with, and I would be more successful than all of the naturals, especially before I had my hips and all these other issues. So with me, you have access to someone that has real experience, which is a little bit different. I've set the scene enough, but this video is going to be about polarization. Okay, we're going to go through this video, and I think you'll like it.
And stay in the basement. Wear a hijab.
Well,
no,
yeah, that's
more
where
to a woman. There's more to a woman than kids.
What?
There's way more.
Like
that's
what?
why you're
like
sitting
what?
here with a little
like what?
leadership,
Like
teamwork, a lot of things. Mental stability. A man, he can't. He panics. A man can't be great without his king. How does chess work? How does chess work, Mr. Einstein? You're the best.
Wait.
Chess work, Mr. Einstein. Your ego. How does chess work?
Guys.
How does chess work?
All right, let's just do statistics. Do you like facts?
How does chess work? Tell me that.
Hold on.
Answer the question.
Here's
how does chess
Here's
work?
how chess.
Now look at their faces. Do you think these girls are serious? You think they're angry at him? I think a lot of the industry, the teachings in this situation, they don't have the methods and strategies and skills to overcome and deal with this. And so there's 2 or 3 women there abusing him, and they're pretty angry. And a natural will find himself in situations like this all the time because they're so polarizing. Now, polarizing has this reaction a lot of the time. Now, when you get used to this, dealing with this all the time, I grew up with lots of nutcase women like this that I can argue with them all day, and I don't care. Eventually they'll see it the way I see it. And this is what Jon is doing right here, which I think you guys can learn a lot from. They're in a massive argument. I guess these girls are probably feminists, and they don't like the misogyny that he's speaking of here. So let's see how this plays out, because he can't get a word in.
Works.
How does it work?
The useful queen still sacrifice.
No, the queen.
We still sacrifice your ass for the king. That's how fucking useless you are.
You can't lose.
And the king is broken leg. He just hops.
See, so this is great. You can learn a lot from this moment right here. Most of the guys in the pickup industry, even the best coach, pick out the best coach that you can think of. Visualize that coach in this situation right now. He wouldn't double down, and he wouldn't then say something even more outrageous and polarizing and insulting and then laugh in their faces like he doesn't give a fuck. I don't know maybe there would be a guy called the Julian Blanc guy that got cancelled. Maybe he would be able to handle this. Maybe, but keep in mind, he was taught by that Alex, the Australian coach that was seen to be a natural. And I think one thing that these guys did do was that they hacked and they analyzed the psychology behind a natural, but none of them actually were. And you can see what he's doing here. He's pretty much like, he will never take anything a woman says seriously. It depends on the woman. Like if it's a Karen, an angry Karen, probably get angry at her. But if they're a bunch of cute girls like this, he wants to flip them, be polarizing, win them over, and sleep with them, right? And so he's going to be a lot more polarizing, a lot more playful, and let them know that they can never break his frame. So let's continue. But this here is a great little thing that you can learn from.
You lose the game if you don't have a queen.
Fortune 500 companies.
You lose the game.
All Fortune 500 companies.
No queen.
The highest level companies on earth. All Fortune 500 companies. All of them by gay dudes.
No, it's successful
by
wives.
gay dudes.
What is your point?
If you're gay and you don't have a woman bothering you, you go to billions of dollars.
You're just bringing up gay people. But no,
I'm not saying be gay.
You say Christ is king, but you talk about gay people.
But I'm not endorsing being gay. I'm showing you this.
All of it.
I'm showing
this is corruption. What are you trying to teach the world?
Because
what are you teaching kids?
If you go with
Christ is king, but you talk about gay people and Satan, which is the point? What is the point you're trying to prove? I'm so confused.
The statistics show that men who are players, not with a woman, or gay, or not around a woman to fuck shit up,
what statistics?
They just fuck them and leave, or they don't fuck them at all.
So why are you copying them?
These guys, I'm not copying them. I have a girl. But check this out. Fortune 500 companies are either run by players who abandon their wives.
Pull up the statistics that you're
high value men abandon their wives for a reason. Because hold up, bro.
Highly successful
all successful men who are at the top.
You notice how he was very playful there, and then he's like, "Shut the fuck up, bro," and it was like a serious "shut the fuck up." The women shut up. So in that frame battle, he then counterpunched when they're attacking him, flipped it, made it a joke out of it, became even more polarizing to the absolute extreme. He's like, you know, the top Fortune 500 companies, they're all run by gay dudes, which is not true. Just making it up. But he's using that as an example to throw it back in the women's face that men do not need women. And what he's subcommunicating in this frame battle is that we don't need you. He's saying to the girls on the panel, I don't need you. I'm a man. I'm better than you. I don't even need to talk to you. You just get in the way of us making money and having successful lives. Which is also a way of just saying, look, I have so much abundance and I don't need you. So what he's saying there is he had the frame battle, told them that he doesn't need them in any way, shape or form, which is the only weapon that women have against you, disarmed them, and then told them to shut the fuck up. And then they're like, oh, and they actually did. They went from being angry feminists to obeying him. Now, there's a lot in these few minutes here that you can learn from. Frame battles, polarization, having that, I don't need you, you need me more than I need you, and just, I can walk away at any moment because I'm better than you. All of these things are so valuable, not only in cold approach, but on the date and when you're at the moment after you've slept with a girl, locking them in, which is the hardest part because they drop off at every phase. Approach, you lose value. You get the number, you lose some value. Take them out on a date, you lose a bit of value. You eventually sleep with them, and then there's a drop off of girls that will stick around after you sleep with them. Some of them you won't want to sleep with, won't want to sleep with or see again. But I would say if you've gone through the motions and you've got to the date and you've slept with them, you'd want a lot of them to come back, but a lot of them won't come back. And if they understand that you think like this, they're more likely, which is counterintuitive, if they know you don't need them, they're more likely to want you because every other guy wants them. And every other guy, this is why when I talk about indirect game, most of you guys don't understand it until you do a 7-day immersion, 10 hours a day, just hustling in the street, approaching hundreds of women. Only then you get it. There's not one guy in the industry that teaches indirect game. Zero. None of them know what they're fucking talking about. And it takes like 7 days of 10 hours walking the streets with me, hitting the clubs. If you're young enough and tall enough, like this guy was dominating the clubs. Then you would kind of understand indirect game, holding your power. The guys that go over to girls and just give them compliments, it's like you've approached her, you've lost value. You've given her a compliment, you've pretty much told her that she's better than you. And then you're showing you have to somehow show intent. Oh, look, I had to come over and meet you because you're pretty and you're better than me. You've lost more value. You just keep losing value with this direct game. I teach my guys not to this extreme. This is absolute extreme on another level. I teach a way that you can have your power, keep your self-respect, engage in frame battles and win. But most of the coaches out there are direct game. I think you're really pretty. I like your shoes. She's like, you like my shoes? Are you gay? In her mind, she's like, oh, okay, well, you're nothing then. You're telling me I'm pretty. Does this guy tell girls that they're pretty? I don't think so, but he bangs hotter girls than any other guy in the industry. I saw some live streams where he was with Sneeko, and there was a legit 10. And then Sneeko took 2 girls, had a threesome, and then he started making out on and like messing around with this girl who was a legit 10 in a first world country in an expensive city on live stream, and then he had to shut the live stream off because they obviously went and slept together. This guy is getting hotter girls than any other coach out there without having to travel to South America or Eastern Europe. and be so he's got all the advantages of a lot of those coaches, but those coaches can't compete in first world countries. He's doing this in first world countries. You got to understand, like, I'm in Sydney, Australia. I don't have the genetic attributes of most of the other coaches out there, but they can't compete in London. They can't compete in the first world cities and have real success. When I was in my 20s, I still wasn't 6'2". I wasn't 6 foot. I'm not 6'5". But I was getting super hot girls in a first world country, Sydney, Australia. There's almost no coaches out there that are actually doing that in a first world city. They're traveling to third world countries. They're in their 20s or 30s. They're all over 6 foot tall. They're good looking, jacked. They got the tats, and they're doing their best to look as attractive as they can. And they're not on this guy's level. So there's a little bit of this that you need. There's also another factor that I'd like to talk about, is that in a nightclub, he has a natural advantage just because of his size. People are less likely to try and AMOG him. He's able to enter big groups, mixed groups, and people aren't going to just fight him. So having people, he used to be a nightclub bouncer apparently, and used to get in lots of fights, and apparently he can fight. So the threat of being assaulted in the nightclubs is something that he doesn't have to deal with, which gives him a massive advantage over guys like myself. Even in my 20s, I could definitely fight. I played rugby for 8 seasons, but guys bigger than me would, pick fights all the time, especially if I'm trying to pick up girls in a club. So he's got advantages there. We have to take all this into account, but we're really just focusing today, I've gone off topic, on his polarization and frame battles, which is really important here.
Every single day they're in meetings with men. There's no women, and they see their wife once a week if they're in the same fucking country, and that's what you got to do. That's how you got to be successful. Women have never built a man's company ever.
Are you? That's not true. Prophet Muhammad's wife, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Every great leader, every great man before him, he was broke.
See, the battle continues, and it goes on for a long time. But how long's this video so far? No way, 17 minutes. Okay, I've waffled on too long. What I'll do is I'll get towards the end. Okay, here's one. After him abusing them and telling them how much...
Moving home? Don't do it alone. Need some space? We know a place for every stage of life.
Ad.
I don't want it. You've been running your mouth.
You've been running your mouth. So one of them's challenging him now. Let's listen to what she has to say.
Dude, what the fuck is a woman's problem, bro?
She's molesting you.
Come on.
What?
Come on. Be so
look at the viewer count. Look at the viewer count. Look at the woman ruining the viewer count. Grace, sit down. Grace.
10,000.
No, it's not. It's 2 something. It's been at 2. It's been at 2.
Grace, sit down, drink alcohol, and do some.
I don't want it. You've been running.
Yes, she's clearly attracted to him. She wants him to get up and leave the podcast and go party with her and sleep with her tonight. And she's probably worried because of the way that he behaves, that he just has so many other girls around, that this is her chance to get him. That's the way I see this. And he's telling her to go away, which is the right thing to do. He can just... you don't allow a girl to take you. You go and approach the girl. That's why a cold approach is so important. It's because you're the one that makes the move. Whenever a girl's approaching you, let's just say you're traveling somewhere and a girl approaches you, she's going to rob you, or she's a prostitute, or something dodgy's going on. You never allow a girl to choose you, which is a lot of what a lot of weak men in Western countries do today anyway. But let's see how this plays out.
Oh my god! Yeah, because I don't make money showing my tits. I gotta run my mouth. Go sit down and please. You're ovary blocking my finances, bro. Let me try and get some clips, bro. Panda, restrain her, Panda.
So he's being playful, and there's a slight little smile there. But he's letting her know quite clearly who's the boss. This is a frame battle, and she can't win the frame battle verbally, so she's getting physical.
What does that mean?
So, like 7 minutes, you can don't touch me.
See, and that's where the twin
She's like, don't touch me while she's touching him.
comes in.
Before I leave for real.
Okay.
Did you hear that? You want to hang out with me before I leave for real. Let's listen to that again.
Minutes, you can don't touch me.
See,
She said, don't touch me, and now she's begging him to pretty much sleep with her, sorry.
and
Listen carefully.
that's where the twin comes in.
Before I leave for real.
Okay, Panda.
Come on, I can't believe you don't want to hang out with me and leave with me for real before I go or whatever.
How long's the podcast? Tell her.
He's like, I want to do the podcast. That's more important. I got to do my stuff. I got to do my job before I go out and party and sleep with you. See, this is proper natural game. He's in total control here.
Not mine. It's not my podcast.
What did she just whisper in his ear? Oh, I wish I knew what she just said.
Panda, how long's the podcast? Tell her.
About
It's
10 more
not mine.
minutes.
It's not my podcast. It's a nigga's podcast.
Yo, what the
I think she barked in his ear.
fuck? Why you say it like
This
that?
is
Oh, I can't hear what she's saying, but she's saying something. She wants to sleep with him.
this
Why
is
can't you just say
this
his
is
name?
this is crazy. All I'm trying to say is,
No,
look at
she
this is
wants
a.
to talk to you.
I don't give a
Talk to her.
fuck, bro. I don't
Talk
care
to
if you're
her.
my wife. I don't give a
No,
fuck. I want
talk
to
to
make
her.
money. You fucking
No,
losers.
you
Never.
make money with
Women
her.
never make Fortune 500 companies because they want to play and do retard shit. These girls want to go to their Fisher Price. These girls want to, bro. And Magenta.
So a lot of guys don't see what's really going on here. He's saying, look, I'm a man on a mission. I've got things to achieve. And you're secondary to me. That's so attractive to women.
That doesn't exist. We don't see that color. You guys are retards. Focus on the money, boys. Women will destroy you. Chill with Panda, but don't be gay. Don't be Dunkel and Panda.
Don't be a you.
Nigga, don't be dumb.
Hey, a lot of people
Don't
are gonna
be-
say, "Oh, it's Grace. She's just a party. It's not just Grace." The traditional Muslim women will run you bankrupt.
And I think he wants to bang one of the traditional Muslim women. And so what he's doing is now he's bringing those two girls into it. Because his frame is so solid that he's not only... He knows he's locked in that one. Now he wants to put down the other two girls on the other side and get them involved. Then he gets to choose which one he wants, or maybe have a threesome or more. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
As well. It's 2023. Let go of it. The
You need to
traditional
fall in
women
love with a woman
the
and move on and
the
stop being hurt
traditional
by
women have
Stop
been
being hurt.
fought,
We're so sorry that we
Traditional
hurt
women
you.
and they're not
beat your ass.
virgins.
Sorry.
They're
Who hurt you? You know, the usual who hurt you. But he doesn't care. That's the difference between, I think, all of the red pill content creators, the black pill guys, all the PUAs, all the cold approach coaches. None of them could handle this.
We're so
These
sorry
two are
that
not
we hurt
virgins.
you and that women hurt you.
I am.
We're so sorry because she could
Panda.
she could easily turn your mood from mad to something else.
All right,
Did you get that?
I'll just say it. If there was one autistic man here, this podcast would have more value. I genuinely mean
You're
that.
genuinely
When women
not
lose a
telling the
debate,
truth.
they start
When a man
coping.
doesn't know how to be a good man, he's like this. He's
And yo,
confused
I-
and mentally not there. So
I-
let's take this as an example
Two and
to
a-
not be like that.
2.5.
And you notice they know that they can't get him emotional. They know that no matter what they say, his frame is so strong that he's never going to get angry because he wants to sleep with them. If these were like 30, 40-year-old Karens, his behavior wouldn't be playful like this and polarizing. It would be the total opposite. He would be telling them to fuck off, and he might actually get angry. But he wants to sleep with these girls. So the game's different.
Be confused. Let's not be confused in our identity, our sexual orientation, or even our gender. I know
2.5
this
years
man is
straight?
confused. He's confused.
2.5 years straight, I've never drank
Confused.
alcohol.
So they're saying, who hurt you? This guy's got all these problems. He's got issues with women, etc. And he totally ignores it.
Hey,
So you're
I'm
gay
getting
now.
wasted. These women are driving me away from God. That's all.
And I'm getting wasted, and God is more important than them. That's also a way of just saying that you can never break my frame. So you think he's talking to the podcast or the viewers. He's talking directly to the girls, letting them know that his frame is so solid that there's nothing they could say. They can only get physical with him like the other girl.
How bad they are.
You're already driven away from God. You say Christ is king.
You make your own choices. Don't put it on us. That's you.
Blame me. It's my fault.
That's the end of the podcast.
Toxic fault.
All right.
And he's acting too. I bet he's not even drunk at all. He's just pretending. It's all part of the game, because deep down he just wants to sleep with the girls. He doesn't even care about the podcast. So this is natural game that is extremely polarizing, and he's got an impenetrable frame. This is something that you guys should be working on. Not to his extremes, obviously, and you got to be careful what you say, because he's 6'4", 6'5", so he can get away with a lot more than you can, unless you have his mass.
We're done. Now check this out. Yo, they shouldn't be able to vote. They all suck. They are.
So now the girls that in the early stages of the podcast, this could have went terribly wrong if he acted. I don't think there's any coach in the industry that could have handled this, other than having some boring conversation about women. And this is why the red pill guys are failing to be a political weapon to protect men's rights, because the red pill guys are all nerds. There is another John out there that's a red pill guy, I believe, that used to be a UFC fighter, but he's very blue pilled. I think he just had a divorce. So almost none of them are true red pill, and Rollo Tomasi's married. Most of the pickup coaches they're too serious and boring, or their playfulness is actually very weak, and they use their playfulness as a way to avoid solid confrontation frame battles like this on camera that Jon Zherka doesn't avoid. You see? And so, as a natural myself that grew up in the ghetto and before both my hips needed to be replaced from like surfing big waves and playing 8 seasons of rugby union and getting in more street fights than I dare to admit before I became disabled. That's what fucks you up. I can identify with all of the techniques that he is using here. They're very, very powerful. And if you guys are struggling out there and you can somehow manifest this, your success with women will explode. There's a few seconds left.
History.
All he does is suck dick.
And then he pulls away from the girls and goes over to the guy, because he's saying that guys are more important. After this podcast, I dare say they're going to party together, and he's going to sleep with most probably the blue-haired girl that's grabbing onto him now. Why is she grabbing onto him? It doesn't make any sense, other than she wants to sleep with him so badly, and she will no doubt cockblock him from access to the other two. But if she wasn't so desperate for him, he would be able to sleep with any of those three. So, anyway, hopefully this has been helpful. This is a very long video, 30 minutes. Anyway, hopefully this has been helpful for you guys. If you want to learn some cold approach coaching for myself, also red pill guys as well, proper red pill, not the nerd married dude red pill, not the red pill that isn't politically motivated to protect the rights of men, because if it was politically motivated, it would be protecting men's rights and helping them avoid a lot of the West wouldn't be collapsing like it is if every man thought like Jon Zherka. He's an extreme, way extreme example. But Top link in the description. Check out my website. Sign up to do some cold approach coaching with myself. And I guarantee that you'll be getting a lot better than most of the other guys out there. You can learn a lot from Jon Zherka. Go through his videos. Obviously, don't go to the extremes that he goes to, because a lot of it is acting and he's trying to get clicks. He's trying to build a bit of a business for himself. But when he's interacting with women, his frame and his polarization is extremely valuable. You can learn from him. See you guys.